welcome to this module. Again, congratulations for still being here, for showing up, for dedicating this time and focus to you. It's really amazing how you're showing up, so good job. Now, this week we are getting stuck into discovering your body story. Now, this is so exciting. I really love this because this is where we get loads of like light bulb moments and start to make the connections of where on earth has all this food and weight and body stuff come from? Like, why is this here? Now, you might be thinking, what on earth is a body story? Do I even have one of those? I don't think I do. You do. We all have a body story. We have a story for actually everything that we have and run and do in life. So we will find your body story. We're going to discover where that's come from, how you've been conditioned, and why it is still showing up today. Now, if you've read the Jen Sincero book, You're a Badass, you will have heard her say, your thoughts become your words become your beliefs become your actions become your habits become your reality. So therefore, your thoughts become your reality. Something that you've probably heard before. You might have a good understanding of this. You might think, how on earth is that possible? But it's true. As Jen Sincero says, that is how your thoughts become your reality. Now, for a long time, I didn't know this. I didn't have a clue that what I ran in here was going to create what I was experiencing out here. But it does. So it's really important that we start to tune into, well, what am I running in here that is keeping this reality alive? If there's things that are not serving you, that you're not enjoying, then it's important that we start to look at, well, where is it coming from? And how can I start to change what I'm thinking so that I change my words, I change my beliefs, I change my actions, I change my habits, and therefore I change my reality. So you'll currently have a certain way that you think about your body, the certain way you think about food, the certain way you think about weight loss. And those thoughts are creating your current experience of those things. So if you're not happy with those right now, we need to look at the way you think and start to change that. Now, I want you to imagine, the best way I can explain this is you have a movie projector, one of those old movie projectors, you know, where it plays that film reel, and that's running in your mind. Now, on that reel is every memory, every experience that you have had in your life playing on that movie reel. And it is projecting out of your eyes onto the world around you. So everything that you're carrying in here is showing up out here. So this is the story of who you think you are. Everything that you've experienced has led you to this very moment in time, and you're projecting that out into the world around you and creating your future, essentially. Now, I'm going to give you an example from my story, my past. When I went through that relationship and was cheated on, what I decided, what I created in my story, in my movie reel, was that I've been cheated on. I'm someone that gets cheated on. I'm not good enough. I'm not attractive enough. There's obviously something wrong with me. And that got written into this little movie projector, and it started projecting out of my eyes. So that belief, I'm not good enough. And what happened is, because I was projecting that out, I'd written it into my story, I'd allowed it to become part of who I thought I was. I allowed it to define me, not consciously, I didn't know this at the time, but I projected that out into the world. Now, what started to happen was, it wasn't only that I didn't feel good enough, you know, in my body, I didn't feel attractive enough, but over time, it started to show up everywhere. It started to show up in my work. So I felt like I wasn't good enough. I wouldn't, you know, go for any next level opportunities. It started to even show up in my social life. I started to feel like my friends didn't want me around, or I wasn't, you know, funny enough or nice enough to be around, that I was boring. And I started to feel like anxious about being social, and I had never been like that. So this one belief that I had written in here started to affect every area of my life because I was projecting out. When I went to go into a new relationship, instantly projected that experience onto it. Well, I'm going to be cheated on again. I can't trust them. Yeah. How often do we do that? It's like with diets. Failed at that diet before, I'm going to fail at this one. And our thoughts create our reality. If we think we're going to fail at something, That's what's going to happen. If we expect an outcome, we're going to get an outcome. So when I learned this, it was really, really powerful that I understood why certain habits and repeat themes had been showing up in my life, because I hadn't rewritten the story. I was creating it. I hadn't learned the lesson I needed to learn from that experience, and so it kept showing up. The minute we learn from something, the minute we get that breakthrough, the minute we get that realization, that thing will stop showing its head. In order to do this though, we need to look at the current story that's running, we need to take the learnings, we need to rewrite the story and create the reality we want. But first we have to delve into where it's all come from. Now, we are actually conditioned by our past. So everything that's happened has led us up to this moment, and that is creating who we currently are. Now, from the ages of 0 to 8, you form 85% of your neural pathways that make up that story of who you think you are. 85% between the age of 0 and 8. 0 and 8, how crazy is that? So that means 85% of what you currently believe was formed back then. That leaves 15% for the rest of your adult life to create these new thoughts and views and values and beliefs of the world. So between that age of 0 and 8, you're in quite an unconscious state, which means you don't have that much conscious awareness. You're not that rational, you're not that kind of like, figuring things out as such, but we're more in an unconscious state of mind, which means we're like a sponge and we just soak up information. We're learning how to be a human. We're learning from the people around us, parents, teachers, siblings, family, people of influence. We look up to them and we model them. We copy them. We do what they do, and we take on their beliefs of the world. And we condition ourselves to become that person. We think that that is truth. That is how the world works. That thing that you just said is 100% true, and I'm going to take that on, I'm going to put it into my little movie and story of who I think I am, and I'm going to project that out into the world. How often is it that we grow up to be like our parents, That's the exact reason why, because we take their values and their beliefs and we take it on board and we copy them unconsciously, and we become them, essentially, unless we know how to change that. Now, with all those kind of conditions and things that we let into here and forms who we think we are, that forms part of our neurology, and it becomes our personal reality. Our personal reality that we create out here, our personality. So that becomes who we think we are. Now, when it comes to the beliefs and the stories and things that you're running, guys, it's really important to understand that the majority of them are not even yours. They're usually something that's been passed down, to you, that you're running of someone else's, and it's actually not even yours. So even when it comes to your body, to food, to weight loss, you just have a story that you're running of what you think is true based on what someone else has taught you and their value systems and their beliefs. But it doesn't actually have to be your reality. You get to choose what you want that to be. Now, I had a client who I worked with, would be a good few years ago now. She's an amazing lady, and she had been struggling for her whole life with how she felt about her body, her weight, diets, everything. She even had the gastric band surgery, and then she came to work with me because she realized that even having that, it was just like putting a plaster over the problem, like a band-aid. It didn't solve the problem, because it was never to do with the food, it was to do with how she was feeling. Now, she grew up with this issue with her legs. Even when she was younger and a child and she wasn't overweight, she always hated her legs, and she had no idea why. Now, as we started to work through this, we were working one-to-one together, and it came, as we were talking through the problem, she remembered this event, and she was only 12 years old, and she was in the kitchen with her mum, who she had a bit of an interesting relationship with, and she was telling her mum that she was so excited because Dad had said that she could go and start these dance classes that she really wanted to do, and she was really excited about it. And her mum turned around and said to her, you can't dance, you've got legs like a baby elephant. Now, will we ever know if this was said as a joke? Was her mum having a bad day? Was it even said in that way? Who knows? But what does matter is the experience of the person who it was said to. And what happened in this lady's mind was that was written into her story. I have legs like a baby elephant. What are baby elephants' legs like? They're big, they're chunky, and that got written into her movie. And with so much emotion and hurt and sadness and, you know, unexpectedly said from her parent, that kind of latched on, that emotion kept that memory alive, and she wrote that into her story. And when we started to undo that and unpack that properly, she could let it go. But it made so much sense to her why she had always had this problem with her legs, but that wasn't hers to carry. This is the important part. That was not hers. That was not her issue, that was her mum's. Whatever her mum had going on there, it's her own thing. But that was never hers to carry and take on. No, she had had the tools in that moment to just dismiss and carry on. It would never have been a problem for her, but that got written into her movie, and she carried that with her for her life, and she projected it out everywhere. Everywhere she went, she saw that issue with her legs. So I want you to start to think about, what were you told as a kid? Now, you might not have anything, you know, quite like that. That's just an example. But think about, what were you told in terms of, you have to sit at the table and finish everything on your plate. If you finish everything, then you can have dessert. So you have to clear your plate, you can have a dessert as a reward, sweet's a treat. If you're good, we'll go to McDonald's. As a girl, you're gonna have to watch what you eat. When you get to a certain age, then you have to. You won't be able to eat whatever you want forever. You'll have to start watching what you eat at some point. Or maybe it was being at school around those ages where other girls start to notice their shape and size, and it starts to become something you will talk about. Or maybe you start to see models on the TV, or, you know, magazines where women are portrayed in ways that are just not realistic. Or people are body shamed. You see it in magazines where celebrities are shamed for the way they look in a bikini, or they haven't been working out, or things like that. It's crazy. Maybe you grew up seeing mum on diets. Now, I know I did. Now, she never ever once said to me, you need to go on a diet. But what I did see was her getting up before taking us to school to do her workout DVDs. I saw her measuring out portions, and I saw her following diet books and hearing her talk about those things. So in a way, on an unconscious level, I'd already created my story of what I ever needed to do if I wanted to improve my body, or I needed to lose weight, because I'd seen it. That's what you do. So when it did come to that time that I decided I wasn't good enough and I needed to change the way I looked, then that's exactly what I went and did. Another thing to consider, was there restriction with food growing up? I know I've worked with a lot of women who, you know, didn't have a lot of food in the home growing up, and so once they had that freedom to move out and go and get their own food, or they're earning their own money, it was just like they want it all, because as a kid, remember, your unconscious mind has no concept of time. It doesn't know whether that restriction of food was happening 25 years ago or it's happening now. It just latches onto that. And so if your mind has created that habit of, yeah, when you got to earn your own money and start buying your own food, and you just wanted everything because you could, it was freedom, and it was safety, and it was comfort, then that pattern's still running in here. It's written into the story of how you are around food. Another thing that is very common is sibling rivalry. Eating really fast because otherwise your brother or sister's gonna take your food, for example. Or if it was a big household, taking food and sneaking it and hiding it in your room. Again, all patterns that can keep playing out throughout life. Now, this is going to be very unique for each and every one of you, but it's all the same thing. It's all just conditioning from the past. And again, it's not yours to be carrying, guys. So this week you have in the workbook some questions that are going to guide you through to help you uncover where your body story has come from, the story that you run around food, and to just get some clarity on this. And honestly, you're going to have some light bulb moments and things pop up where you're like, this makes sense. And the beauty and the power comes from, once you have this awareness, you can't unknow this. You can't not know what you know now. So once you know this, then you're always going to have that awareness of when, if it pops up, you're like, hey, this isn't even mine. Why am I carrying this? Why am I letting this play out? This is mum's, this is my sister's, this is something that I didn't even need to decide or do. So you can take the power back. Now, one more side note, guys, this is not and never ever will be about blame. Okay, so I don't want you to be going through this process and then thinking, oh God, mum, thanks for that, ringing your mum up like, cheers mum, look what you did. This is not about that. Remember, your parents, your family, the people of influence in your life as a child were doing the best with what they had, and they were only conditioned by their past, by their parents and their, people of influence, and the same goes on and on and on, and we can trace that generations back. And there was a time in life, for example, that generations ago, they lived through times of famine and poverty and times where, wars, where food was scarce, and when you got food, you had to eat everything on your plate. So it's no wonder that those beliefs were installed in people and passed down. But now we're living in a time of like abundance of food, so those beliefs aren't valid anymore. So it's not making anyone wrong for it, including yourself, but it is acknowledging where they've come from so you can realize and recognize what is yours that you want to keep and what is not. What are you done with? What is something that you just don't need anymore? So that's the purpose of this week, guys, becoming aware of your body story and your story that you're running around food. Now remember, your thoughts create your reality. Be very conscious of what you're thinking, and you can utilize your thoughts to change how you feel and what you create around you. So that's it for this week, guys. Enjoy the workbook and the content, and let me know if you have any questions, and I'll speak to you soon.